Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Curse of Oak Island preview. Team learns that map has been pointing to treasure vault all this time. This week on The Curse of Oak Island, an ancient map points the way to the fabled treasure vault and the money pit, as well as an intensification of borehole drilling in the money pit area. We'll also see the guys get one of Gary Drayton's finds dated, and it is super old. We'll also see further excavations at the swamp as the guys continue in their efforts to uncover a wharf buried below the murky waters. And the preview does appear to show Gary Drayton unearthing what appears to be a strange structure. We then hear archaeologist Laird Niven announce that appears to a slipway. The guys have been investigating a pier or wharf-like structure in the swamp for the last few weeks now. Last week, they even sent diver Tony Sampson into the sea off the coast of the swamp to check how far the wharf goes out to sea. Unfortunately, Tony's search was inconclusive. But if they have now found a slipway in the swamp, then this all ties into the theory that ships were able to unload large amounts of cargo, hopefully treasure, in or around the marshy area and onto the island. The guys also think they've discovered a trail that leads from the swamp to Lot 15, where there may be a tunnel leading underground, perhaps to the money pit. Expert says Oak Island map points to the treasure. Add to that the exciting news that archaeologist Erin Helton is back on the show, and she thinks she knows where the treasure vault can be found. Helton specializes in maps, and she's been studying the ancient French map that Oak Island expert Zena Halpern previously gave to the team. In a previous episode, Helton correctly determined that the guys would find 2 stone markers at very precise locations, so she clearly knows what she's talking about. And according to the preview, she believes that Halpern's map has been pointing to the treasure all along, an ancient coin found on Oak Island. This week, we'll also see an old coin discovered by Gary get dated by an expert. The coin in question is quite distinctive, as it had a square hole in the middle, which led one expert to suggest it might be Chinese. In the preview for this week, we hear an expert date the coin somewhere between 400 BC and 400 AD, meaning it's at least 1600 years old. This could be evidence that an ancient Chinese civilization visited the island. In the cool, misty dawn of Oak Island, the team assembled on Lot 32, the distant rumbling of machinery in the background barely audible over the breeze that whispered through the trees. A sense of urgency hung in the air, the kind that only comes when a century-old mystery is on the brink of being unraveled. For weeks, there had been talk of new clues, something big. But no one quite anticipated the revelation that was about to shake them to their core. Rick Lagina, always the stoic leader, stood with a small, weathered piece of parchment in his hand, his eyes scanning every line, every cryptic marking. Beside him, his brother Marty fidgeted with excitement, the usually analytical mind now brimming with the possibility that their tireless efforts might finally be leading them in the right direction. The rest of the crew gathered around, curiosity piqued. "This map," Rick began, holding it up so everyone could see, "has been in front of us all this time. And yet we've missed something crucial. The map was old, centuries old, and had passed through many hands over the years. It had led them to certain hot spots on the island, suggested areas of interest, but had never delivered the kind of breakthrough they so desperately needed. Until now, Gary Drayton, metal detector in hand, and always ready for the next adventure, squinted at the parchment, his treasure-hunting instincts flaring up. "What are you saying, Rick? That this here map's been pointing to the treasure vault all along, and we just been skirting around it?" Rick nodded slowly, his voice measured, as if speaking the truth out loud would cement its reality. "That's exactly what I'm saying. We've been looking at this wrong. All the clues, all the markings, they weren't pointing to different areas, but to a central point, the treasure vault." The words hung in the air like a slow-building storm, anticipation crackling between the team members. For years, the Laginas and their crew had been led by bits of history, strange anomalies, and folklore. Every dig, Every discovery had brought them tantalizingly close, but never close enough. The idea that the answer had been sitting in plain sight all this time was almost maddening. Craig Tester, with his engineering mind always in gear, took a step forward to inspect the map. "Show me," he said, his voice low, focused. He ran his fingers along the faded lines, tracing the familiar shapes of the island's geography. Rick pointed to a series of symbols in the center of the map, symbols that had previously been dismissed as decorative or irrelevant. "Here," Rick said. "It's been staring at us, hiding in plain sight. These markings, they form a pattern." And once we realized that, everything fell into place. Marty leaned in closer, his eyes darting between the map and his brother's face. "Are you saying this is a treasure map? Like a literal one?" "With an X marks the spot, not exactly," Rick replied, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "But close enough. The symbols align with certain geological features we found across the island, the same ones we thought were random anomalies. They're not. They're markers. And they all converge here, right at the money pit. The money pit. That cursed, elusive hole in the ground that had swallowed men, money, and machines alike for over 2 centuries. The team had dug there before, dozens of times, each attempt more elaborate and costly than the last. And each time, they had come away with nothing but frustration. "Wait a minute," Jack Begley interjected, his youthful enthusiasm tempered by years of near misses. "Are you saying we've been digging in the wrong place this whole time?" Rick shook his head. "Not the wrong place, just not deep enough. This map suggests there's a vault beneath the pit, deeper than any of our previous digs have gone. And if we follow this line of symbols, we should be able to pinpoint exactly where to dig next." Laird Niven, the team's archaeologist, rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "But how could we have missed that? We've done seismic testing, scans, and we've even found tunnels. Why haven't we seen this before?" "It's a matter of perspective," Marty chimed in, his voice tinged with excitement. "We've been thinking of the vault as a singular, standalone structure. But if it's part of a network, one that spans the island and is connected to the various other findings, we could have been looking at pieces of it all along without realizing it." Gary tapped the ground with his metal detector, as if eager to start the search immediately. "Well, what are we waiting for, lads? We've got a vault to find." Rick smiled, but held up a hand. "Not so fast, Gary. We need to be strategic about this. We can't just start digging blindly. If this vault is as deep as we think it is, we'll need to bring in new equipment. And we'll need to do it carefully. There's no telling what kind of traps or hazards are still active down there." The mention of traps sent a chill through the group.